Hi everyone. So here we are back again today with another episode of the 15 Hacks for Indian Sports Professionals. And today we have Dr. Chaitanya Sridhar with us. Dr. Chaitanya is a PhD in sports psychology. She has worked with probably, I call it the most pressurizing sport in India, which is cricket. Okay. And I don't think there's anything else in India as a sport which puts as much pressure. So she has, of course, a lot of credentials behind her. And of course, we have Alap. Alap recently, along with all his accolades of working with athletes, he has been working with Mirabai Chanu, who has, I think, just 2 or 3 weeks ago created a world record in weightlifting. And that's, I think, just an amazing thing. So, and probably as a physio, to work with an athlete like that, someone who's into power sports, I think that's the toughest sport that he could have worked with as a physio. So we really have some very, very good team to speak about. So the first point that I'm going to say, okay, and this will probably put things into context. Social media is like in a big house, it's like a balcony, okay, a broad balcony where you sort of display all the good things, okay. You keep people aware of what's great in your life, okay. And it's not the bedroom. It's not your bathroom. It's not your kitchen. Okay? And there's a reason the bedroom is not put in the balcony, okay? Because that's sort of your private, personal life. The other thing that maybe I can add from my side is that sometimes people believe social media marketing helps, okay? And a lot of marketing professionals will make you believe this, that, oh, you're good, you need to now expand your profile and people need to know, and social media is important. I'll give you an example of myself. I used to write for Men's Health magazine from 2010. All the time it was in India, launched by India Today. And it's obviously the biggest magazine in the world for men. But not one person contacted me for training. Marketing, in my opinion, doesn't work for professionals. If you're good, your work will show, people will come to you. That's it. And just like how we wouldn't, as people maybe stand in our balcony when we are drunk, okay, or when we are not in our senses, the same way, don't post when you're drunk, okay. I think a lot of people make that mistake. They post and then you regret.
I want to start with this little anecdote before you say anything to anyone, right? So let it pass through 3 gates. So the first is this actually true? Or is this actually right? Second is this essential? Third, is this kind? So, I always sit, and this is something I tell athletes, and I'm sure as professionals, we all tell athletes, be very, very mindful, because whatever you all say is getting not just chewed, it's just getting ripped apart, it's dissected. It's sad, especially the higher up they go, I think they just ripped apart. So, pass through this, and especially when you're making comments about another athlete, another team, or ask yourself, would you say this about yourself? And that you make an impact. There are X number of people following you, so it's even more imperative that there's some responsibility, because then we become the change. And I agree with what you said, Declan. Don't come out and do things on your balcony which you wouldn't want the whole world to know. It's like living in glass windows, and you want everyone to be peeking in. That's the question.
My first point is, think like it's very much sort of the extension of what Chaitanya was saying. Think before you post. Think about 2 things primarily. Think about your family and think about your employer. And it's just simple, because if you happen to post something that your employer doesn't want you to post and doesn't want to be shared, the next day you will be out. And something, again, if you are going to do where your family feels uncomfortable seeing you doing something that you shouldn't be seen doing, then again, I think for us, eventually the family is the most important thing, everyone. And if they can respect you, everybody else can respect you.
I agree with what Alap said now, and I would say that in general, and this goes especially to young athletes, sometimes not just athletes, even anybody, young boys, girls, not just for social media, but even generally. If you're going to record something and send a clip even to a friend or a group of friends, ask yourself first, how would your teachers, your employers, your family feel about if they had to see this? Okay. So if there's anything that you're going to post or share, even in private as well, because I don't think there's anything that exists as private. Once you send it out to somebody, it's out there. Okay. So think about it 200 times before you send. And even employers do make a judgment based on people's social media pages. Definitely, people check, what you do, what you post. A point that I would now bring about is what maybe these celebs go through. Maybe people like us don't, but sometimes unknowingly we can go through is these internet wars. Okay, and internet wars are like these sort of talks which go on between two professionals. Alap makes a point and I disagree with him. I write something, and then you go through that post, you can see a whole line of counter answers. Okay. We are professionals, and I always say this, we are not some random guys, standing on the street and arguing and each other in the face. Okay, and we have to behave like professionals. So we have to understand others are watching us as well, and it's sort of creating an image about ourselves, a perception. So getting into internet wars, we are not some trolls. Okay, we are not people who are out there trying to make a living out of being on the internet. Okay, we are professionals. Our work is what you do in the real world. I have a rule, and this is something I've followed. If I disagree with somebody, and even if somebody says something which is maybe not too pretty, you just answer with okay and close the matter there in a very dignified way. And I do that in two lines. So first, if somebody says something, I'll maybe try to answer and see if the person understands. Then that somebody is just out there to get some maybe time pass. For me, the next answer is just okay. Okay, so the person also gets the message. I'm not wasting my time, to get into these wars.
I want to add to what both Alap and Declan actually said. And very interestingly, it corresponds to the second point I wanted to make, which is what we say, respond, don't react in psychology, the tagline. So, there's a very interesting saying. We say between stimulus and response, there's a black box. So if you pause, then it becomes a response. If there's no pause, it's a reaction. And I explain it to athletes with this theory, which I call cockroach effect. So there's this group of people in a restaurant and they're having lunch and they're really enjoying themselves, okay? Out of nowhere, bang, a cockroach falls right in the middle of the table. And it's havoc. They're screaming and jumping. And as these people are screaming and jumping, the cockroach also is screaming and jumping. And then, the waiter comes, just stands for a brief second. He waits. When the cockroach settles down, he picks it up and he goes and chucks it out. And I think that's the whole thing, what you people were saying is exactly what, like as professionals, as athletes, as human beings as well, we will get triggered. And like I remember the amount of trolling I got with IPL last year. It's insane. I wasn't even playing the match. People would tell me who should be playing. Why is this one playing? And I'm like, dude, I have nothing to do with it. But after a point, I stopped. I just stopped responding. And this is where I say that everything that each and every person says, does not need your attention or energy. Like, for example, I remember last year I would get insane amount of people telling me reasons as to why I should give them IPL tickets. I should get them tickets. And you get only 2 passes, okay? By the way, you get only 2 passes for every match. So, I finally got so fed up that I put up a statement saying, I haven't won the IPL lottery. So please stop sending me such messages. It was hilarious, it was fun, but it drove home the message. Like the messages drastically came down. So I feel that responsibility, I'm coming back to that term, is something we as professionals and athletes really, really need to take. So that can come with response and not reacting.
So yeah, my second point, I think some brilliant discussion here from Declan and Chaitanya's end. I have just a small point to add. If you put something out there, people are going to interpret it in 100 ways. You can mean something when you put it out there, but unless you have a clear context, background to your story, reel, whatever you're posting, even if your intentions are very, very pure, sometimes someone can interpret it in a very weird way. Just an example, like say for example, you post a picture of just a cup of chai, and it's like it's out of nowhere, it's just come there. People will, first of all, people may not know what this is and why this has come up. But instead, you were to say that whatever, my first chai at say my new workplace or something like that. It gives you it gives that cup of chai the context, and it's just simple to keep it that way, to sort of have a story to your post, and yet your post to be not even offensive or just regarded as one of 100 posts and which doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I'll quickly add to what Alap has said now about posts and giving a context, because sometimes this can happen, okay, and where you have, let's say, gone out with some friends to eat something somewhere, okay, and your employers, especially if you're working in very, very sort of strong systems where people are keeping an eye, and they think like oh, this guy is like actually enjoying, looks like he's having a good time in that place. So it can send a wrong signal, and especially when your profile is open and you have a lot of people who are there whom you haven't sometimes even met, you really have to be conscious. Or one thing which I feel nowadays Facebook does this is to have your profile, make it private. And I know some professionals who've done that, who have a profile and they only accept their friends whom they really, really know. They won't even accept their work friends. So in that case, that is a very clear thing. Then whatever you post is only for a select audience.
I'd like to add a little point to this. And I think this is something which happened recently, when this whole COVID thing was happening. Not so much with the sports, but remember there were some Bollywood celebrities who were putting up photos of, Maldives and how they're, what's happening. And I kind of felt that was very tasteless. That was being a little insensitive. So especially especially when we're talking of, sports professionals, people are watching, as, we've been discussing, and being a little mindful of what's happening. I think that's also the need of the art.
Now, the next point I'm going to speak about is very short, and I think it will make sense to a lot of people. We always go through, people's posts, pictures sometimes, and sometimes we can get annoyed, okay, just seeing something. There are some things which we might not like. And then sometimes you might write something hoping that it reaches that particular person whom you're annoyed with. Okay, or it could be somebody you're working with. And then I've seen people, they write a statement and it's, that it's very clearly directed to some person that they hope it will reach. And I think the law of probability is such that, it will not reach that person and it will reach everybody else whom it should not reach. Okay, it will reach your teachers, your lecturers, your, employers, and it sometimes becomes very random. So when we post those type of posts, we have to sort of, keep in mind that others who shouldn't be reading that, maybe sometimes the language is not too great, sometimes maybe just the thought is something odd. Okay, so if you have a problem with somebody, sort it out in person. Okay, if there's, pick up the phone, call them. Okay, and if you can't do that, then definitely social media is not the place where you talk about it. If you can't sort it out, if I have a problem with Alap, I should be able to call him and say, this is what I don't like. Or Chaitanya says, I should have the guts to call them and speak. And if I can't, then I shouldn't post something hoping Alap reads it and Chaitanya reads it, and they could be busy in their own world and they've not even seen the post. And what have I achieved? I've just created confusion and just maybe made a joke out of myself.
So this, tying it to, our discussion, what I wanted to say is avoid social media, which includes your phone. And this is something I tell athletes all the time, especially as soon as you wake up and as you're going to sleep. Because, we always say that the first and last half an hour of the day are natural hypnotic states. So you don't want to be waking up, seeing your phone and, you're seeing someone said something about you or, something very low. And then like how we've been discussing, then the reaction, the triggers and everything starts off. It also ties up with, is this how you want to be starting your day? So it's very essential that social media, what I'm trying to say is, it should not become the all and end all, or even our phone, our gadgets. It's these are things which need to aid us, right? They should not become like our entire life. I've seen a lot of athletes get their sense of self with how many likes did I get. It's almost become an addiction. Like, checking, oh, how many likes? Oh, this one has so many likes. I remember hearing someone saying that the other day, and I'm like, how does that really matter? But then it's your purpose has become from what I want to do and who I am, to then it's become, oh, who's following, who's not following. So it's very essential to go, are you influencing or are you getting influenced?
So I have a point, again, for professionals who are working with, say, a team. Say, just to give an example, let's say I'm a physio. I like creating I have, say, my own brand of maybe a clinic or organization, whatever I have. And I as part of that organization, I keep posting treatment videos or, technique videos, whatever that is. And let's leave the consent and all part away of the athletes and whatever. So that's obviously you have to have that before posting any content. But let's say I have that. Even then, if I have X number of viewers with me, are they going to be really, in sync with you if you are going to post 100 videos of 100 techniques every day? And are they going to really like that much content thrown into them? And so basically my point is, don't overdo anything. If you are posting anything, it just dissolves the whole purpose of a post if you do it 100 times. Again, inside a post also, if you say, for example, now with Instagram, it has a lot of filters, a lot of smileys that you can add, a lot of interactive stuff that you can put in a post. As much as you may like to put these, interactive gadgets on your post, again, if you have 50 little things crawling up and down on your post, it just makes that post really, really look shabby.
I just wanted to add a little to what Alap was saying, and it's stimulus overload, what we call a stimulus overload. Someone's going into a match and you want them to perform, and we give them 100 instructions. They're not hearing anything, and it's also called, you want, like when I was listening to Alap, the image which was coming to me was, the message gets lost, when there's 150 icons, because sometimes I'm looking at it going, what is the message here? We call it the figure and background. So you want to have some background, have it, but then your main context, what we've been saying, needs to be clear and not lost in all these icons. I think that's very essential.